Hey everybody, I hope you're having a wonderful beginning to your week. For me it's currently Monday, and I'm finally going to pull the trigger. We are going to work on Mr. Juggernaut, and for those who know me, I tend to go a little eccentric with my models. It's never the box art. It, I, I just can't do it. I always stay within the parameters of what the game allows, unless it's something I'm using for display. But I do actually play this game. I am going to play this model, so as I build this model and the crazy things I plan on doing to it, I will be taking the game into account. But with that being said, we're going to create a little bit of sacrilege here. Also, the model does not come with instructions. That is probably one of my little quirks about it. It should come with instructions, no matter how simple it is. It should have them. Kids are putting these together. A small slip-up can cause some big heartache. But by the good graces of the world and a close friend, I was able to get my hands on a used Mini. Let's pull it out and take a look at it and appreciate it. Okay, so we have Deadpool. And what I want to do, let's grab another light bar. Boom. Bring it up here and get a good look at him, because this miniature does need to be appreciated. Focus. So it's actually really well painted. I know the shading's not showing out all that great on this model. The little rocket cloud never got finished. It's kind of sad, but I'm going to rip this in half. I want to recreate the scene from Deadpool 2 where Juggernaut rips Deadpool in half. We're going to do some modifications. We're probably going to use this pose, or at least pretty close to it. We may modify the pose a little bit, see what we can get away with. But for the most part, it's going to be this pose. And we're going to add some tattered cloth, and we're going to paint him up in the prison uniform that we see him in the movie. Looking around on a few Facebook groups and talking to a few locals, they know this is something I've wanted to do since the model came out, and I'm just now getting my hands on a Deadpool. I've actually had it for a little while. I just really hate to take it apart, but as crazy as it sounds, because of the person this miniature came from, by me ripping this miniature apart and putting it on this miniature, when it's done, will actually have sentimental value to me, because this Deadpool came from a good friend. I'm going to try and not alter the paint job as little as I can. There's going to be blood. There's going to be gore. It's going to be all over the base and strung out across as he's just throwing Deadpool behind him. So I'm going to show y'all a couple quick reference photos, and we'll be right back. I am going to put the figure together to the point that I want it to be, and we'll get to work. Be right back. Okay, so you've seen my two reference photos. I've just about got this Juggernaut as far as I want to go. Deadpool's just sitting here waiting on his imminent demise. But one of the things I was thinking about is looking at the pose of the model. I'm going to have Juggernaut turning his head to the left. And this is a pretty simple modification if you've done this model. Looking in here, it's just a hollow cavity and a wedge. So we'll take our clippers, clip it from one side, clip it from the other side. And since nobody's going to see this, we'll just clip it off right there. Little bits like this, keep them. You can use them to make sprue goo. You can use them for things like your dry palette for your dry brushing. And it's actually, when you put it this way, it's kind of an interesting looking bit. I might actually be able to use that for some type of base terrain. But yeah, we're just clean it up a little bit. A little sandy. Scrub here, scrub there, and a little bit of tra-la-la. That's how we put on Juggernaut's head and make him turn to the left. There we go. So that's essentially what we're going to go for there. He's like, hey guys, walk like an Egyptian. So yeah, we'll just smash glue that on there. Probably use a little bit of sprue goo or something to hold it in place. I don't know yet. We're not that far. You guys are learning as I go. I'm totally winging it. Which is often how some of my best work happens. I'm just winging it and see where I end up. I am going to attach him to this base for now, even though I'm not going to use this base, sadly. At least not for this model. I am going to use this base for a different model, but for now we're just going to use it to hold him stationary. There we go. So yeah, stationary is stationary. We're just going to use this to hold him in place. I'll probably put some poster tack in the little divots down there, possibly a squirt of super glue. This is literally just going to be so things like that don't happen, so that I can just hold him a little easier. The arms I'm still working on, but we're getting there. I think this is the right arm, obviously. And we're going to modify the location of this arm. It's a little bit far behind him. We're not going to use the street lamp. That might get incorporated into base terrain. We're still in the middle of building here. I'm going to cut, and when I come back, this will be a figure. If I do any more modifications, I'll make sure to let you guys see them before I do them. Alright. Alright, so our next little modification is going to cut up a little bit of this nub, because in his pose you would think that this would be sitting like that and this would be rotated this way based off the picture on the box. That's not the case. I want to rotate his wrist to about this point, because I haven't made up my mind yet. I'm thinking his leg is going to be in this hand, and his arm and shoulder is going to be in this hand, and then he's just going to be peeled apart. Might sound really simple. Don't worry. We're going to make it complicated in the long run, because there's going to be more to this project than just gluing Deadpool into Juggernaut's hands. If that was the case, it'd hardly be interesting, would it? So, yeah, let's get this trimmed out a little bit. I do want to leave some of the nub, so it'll be pretty sturdy. And we'll still be able to glue it into that little pinhole. I am still in a little bit of a toss-up on which hand I want to use. I might actually use this one, but the actual mold for the end of the hand is pretty much the same, so not missing anything there. It's not going to hurt to cut this nub. All I'm doing is I'm making the triangle fit in the circle hole. I'm making the square go in the circle hole. You know, it all goes in the circle hole. Except for the circle. The circle goes in the square hole. But yeah, we're just going to nip this out a little bit. Leave a little bit of a peg. And this part I probably will glue together using sprue goo. I know a lot of people really like super glue. About the only thing I use super glue for is base terrain. A lot of my models are a little bit more on the extravagant side, I think is a cute way to put it. They're very noticeable from a distance usually. I'll give you an example, but I like using different versions of plastic weld. I have a Citadel one over there, Citadel one. I'm not going to show it because, well, I hate GW. I love their products, but their company's terrible. They're not very nice to their fan base. Let's give you a couple examples here. Alright. Grab these off the shelf. So right here. We have our She-Hulk. Needless to say, she's not exactly box art. Well, that's box art. As a matter of fact, here's what's left of the beam that she was holding. That, I hope none of you ever have to try this. This was probably one of the most miserable things I've ever attempted, was removing her hands from this beam without cutting off any of her fingers. They're all there. Okay. And then, you know, we got our Magneto. And all of this was something I did as a wax cast. It is their plastic. I melted it down using acetone. Got a 3D print, wax casted it, made a mold, and then recasted it in Crisis Protocol plastic. So there's that. Alright. But yeah, when I build a model, it's got to be really sturdy, or else, you know, people are going to pick them up, they're going to play with them. Every once in a blue moon I try to use super glue. It never lasts long. Like in that particular, let's see here, where'd she go? I hit her with my knuckle a second ago and she fell off, but she goes right there. We'll put her back on later, and instead of using super glue this time, we're just gonna use a pin. And in this particular situation, the pins I will be using will literally be sewing needles. And the reason for that is because of how tiny her leg is. I can only fit something so thick in there, and a sewing needle is the hardest steel that I can think of that I can get in there and it hold. Spider-Man, on the other hand, he is pinned. Everything else here is pinned. Her hands are pinned. This street lamp is pinned. There's a leg floating in the air that is pinned. It's all pinned. I got lazy with her, and well, yeah, it happens. Yeah, we all get in a rush. But yeah, decisions to make for this episode is which hand I want to use. I'm kind of liking this one. And now that I've got that pin cut down, I can rotate it any direction that I want, which gives me some more freedom. Same with this one. I could rotate it around, no big deal. His head, hey guys, he's going to look to the left. His base will be changed. He will no longer be in the iconic almost laying on the ground, leaning forward pose that he has. We're going to completely change his pose, and instead of him leaning forward, I'm going to bring him up. We're going to give him something to stick under that foot. Not quite sure yet. If you have any ideas, I'd love to hear them. Put them in the comments below. If you want to see more of this build, it'll be done in several segments. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'm not a pro, but I know what I'm talking about when it comes to plastic. You guys can learn from me, and hopefully you can learn from the mistakes that I'm going to make, because I am going to make mistakes, and when I make them, I'm not going to edit them out. You get to see this raw, and you get to see how I correct those mistakes, because when I make mistakes, I don't scrap the project. I just come up with a new idea, go a different direction. I don't get discouraged. I just keep putting along. That's all I can do. That's probably why this YouTube channel is working out for me, is because I'm not really paying attention to anything. I'm just putting along, doing what I would already be doing, whether you guys were here or not. I'm definitely appreciating the comments. It gives me inspiration, lets me know what I'm going to work on next, and ideas for things that y'all think are really cool, because I want to do stuff that y'all are going to think is really cool, and stuff that you're going to enjoy. You know, maybe it's something you're not quite sure to do, maybe you're a little intimidated. Don't be. We'll work on it together. Feel more than free to join my Discord, where I live stream the process of basically doing things like this that I plan on editing out of the videos, putting the figures together, and we'll sit there and chat and have good conversation. Tell me your worst dad joke. I'm on it. Thank you guys. Hope you're having a wonderful Monday, and your Tuesday's even better. I'll see you next time. Juggernaut down.